Welcome back, everyone. My next guest is also a newbie with me here. I have with me Teague Lashnits, and he is the owner of Atticus Law. Tell everybody a little bit about yourself and what you do. Come right up on that mic.
Well, thank you for having me. My name is Teague Lashnits. I'm an attorney. I have been practicing law for almost 20 years, and I am the founder of Atticus Law, which is a civil litigation firm, and we have been in existence for about 2 years now. For the first part of my career, probably the first 12 or 13 years, I practiced what is known as insurance defense litigation, and that essentially means that I worked for the insurance companies who are paid by, obviously insurance companies are on the defense side. They are the ones who try to essentially pay as little as possible for injury claims and other types of claims. And so for many, many years, I was the attorney that was advising the insurance companies on what claims are worth, how they should be handled, whether they should be sent to trial and defended, or if they're the kind of cases that should be settled and a payout should be made. About 2 or 3 years ago, I decided that I wanted to kind of switch sides and start helping injury victims. And so for 2 or 3 years now, I have exclusively practiced on the plaintiff side.
Well, you said today that you kind of wanted to kind of go down into that personal injury type of law, which is what you do. Other type of law. What other kind of law do you do there?
We do. So civil litigation encompasses basically civil lawsuits. So I represent businesses in disputes. I've done landlord-tenant disputes. I actually am. I have a real estate license, but it's inactive, so I don't sell homes. But I am familiar with real estate transactions and have helped clients through those. So we kind of are a little bit of a jack of all trades, but we do mostly at this point civil litigation and personal injury.
PI. All right. I want to talk a little bit about it.
Sure.
First of all, people here have to understand too that it's all depends on your case, right? You
Absolutely.
have to sit and you have to talk. And number one thing I want to say is it is their right. Some people think, oh my gosh, I would never even do that just because it's wrong to do. What do you think?
I think that if you are in an accident, you need to talk to a lawyer immediately because you do have rights, absolutely. And when people violate the law, when people violate their duty of care to you and it results in an injury, it can be catastrophic. You've got medical bills that you've got to get covered. Sometimes you're out of work, you lose wages, you have property damage. All of those things are compensable under the law. And if you don't talk to a lawyer, chances are the insurance company is going to take advantage of you.
Well, what makes Atticus Law different?
So we're a small firm, first off, and every single client at my firm gets the personal attention of an attorney. You don't just sign up with an attorney and then get passed along to a paralegal or a legal assistant and then have your case handled by somebody who doesn't even have a law degree. Every single client of mine gets my own personal cell phone number, and I help them 100% of the way, and I take calls and texts and anything, any hours of the day. I happened to wake up to a text message this morning at 3 a.m. from a client who had a concern, and I answered it right then and there. So we don't typically abide by the 8 to 5 Monday through Friday type structure.
You're there for them.
We are, yeah, because let's face it, if anybody needs an attorney, it's probably because something catastrophic has happened in their life and they need guidance, they need help, and that's what we try to do.
Now, when you work with people, you do free consultations?
We do.
And when you work valley-wide, you said?
We actually work statewide.
Oh, statewide.
Yeah, and we're also licensed in Colorado if anybody's listening in Colorado.
Okay, and A-rated with the Better Business Bureau. What phone number should they call you at?
Our phone number is 480-550-1976. So
write the number down. Here's the thing that I know. I think the people who drive here are nuts. It's not just driving. I mean, we're going to talk about that if we have time, but certainly that's one thing when people think about is car accidents, But there's other things that you do. But write the number down and put it in your phone, because I think people are driving more like nuts ever since they think they have a little bit more freedom on the freeway. Right?
Well,
has it gone up a little bit? Am I right or wrong?
It's been scientifically studied that Arizona drivers drive faster than other states in the country.
I knew it. I knew I was right.
Yeah.
I was telling you I was sweating was because I was driving on my way. The number to call is 480-550-1976. The website is Atticus, and that's Atticus Law, PLLC.com. Put the number in your phone because you never know when you're going to need it.
Absolutely.
Now, I want to talk a little bit about the contingency way you do business and how you work with your clients.
Yeah, so obviously a contingency means that the lawyer doesn't get paid unless they make a recovery for you. We cover all case costs so that nothing comes out of the pocket. And the way that that relationship is set up is because there's a risk involved, meaning that, hey, I could take your case on and we learn something that devastates the case, meaning that maybe you were actually at fault for the accident. Well, then I don't get paid, but nothing comes out of your pocket. And we have a flexible fee schedule, meaning that the contingency fee that we charge is dependent upon the facts of the case, and we oftentimes can save people a lot of money versus other firms.
Now, one thing I want also to talk a little bit about is that when you work with somebody, it's all about the case. So tell us a little bit about what that means. Because, obviously a fender bender isn't something that we're talking about here.
Yeah. So I on the way in here, actually, I was sitting and scrolling through my Facebook page and came across an ad from a law firm that said, if you injured your knee, it's worth this much. If you injured your neck, it's worth that much. I mean, they literally put a price tag on what the injuries were. You can't do that.
How do you do that?
You can't. There's just too many factors involved. Every single case, you have the burden of proving negligence on the at-fault party, meaning that you got to prove somebody else breached their standard of care and resulted in your injury, and then you have to prove that your damages resulted directly from that injury. So obviously, every single accident results in different injuries. The more serious the injuries are, the likelihood, the more value the case has. Mm-hmm. But there's also, an element of how much money is out there to recover from. I have a terrible case right now where a motorcycle victim had somebody cut them off while he was proceeding through an intersection, and he ended up losing his foot. Mm-hmm. He did not have underinsured, uninsured motorist coverage, and the driver didn't have any insurance. So he's got a terrible injury, but he can't even recover a dime because there's no money to go after.
Right.
So it's
I think
just like
people
you
need
said,
to understand that it all depends, and there are little intricacies. And
Absolutely.
I even had somebody here. I don't know, it was about a month ago, that broke her shoulder, and I'm thinking, you've got to call, and yet we found out long run, just because of what you said, that there was no case. So it really is all about talking to somebody and making sure they have one, let's hear what it is, and then going from there.
Right, but there's also, it goes further than that too. I'll tell you about a case I have where a poor young woman was injured in a boating accident out at Saguaro Lake last summer, and she went to one of the big name firms around town and found out that there was no insurance on the boat, so they threw this case away. They said, we can't help you. Well, she came to me, and we dug in a little deeper, and we found $1 million policy. So, you do.
So there you go. You got to check it out. You have to talk to an attorney.
You have to do the legwork.
And I think when you say that you saw that on Facebook, it's really that they just see that, oh my God, it's worth that, so they're going to call, right? That's what gets they perk up their eyes and stuff.
Clickbait maybe is what I would call it.
Exactly.
It's just to get their attention, but you can't. Every case is dependent upon a number of factors. You can't make a blanket statement like that.
Teague's been doing the law for 20 years.
Almost 20
years.
Yeah.
And his phone number to call, put it in your phone, it's 480-550-1976. He does free consultations. He works statewide and also in Colorado. The website is Atticus Law, PLLC.com. He's rated with the Better Business Bureau as well, A-rated as that on top of it. I wanted to ask, how do you find the right attorney? How do you know where to go?
Let's think about what's important. If you're in an injury accident, the thing that you want to do most is you want the most compensation for your injury. So it's important to find a lawyer who's absolutely capable of maximizing your recovery. And the way to do that is to find an experienced lawyer with trial experience. There are a lot of lawyers around town that graduated from law school and hung out a shingle and just do these little fender bender accidents and have no intention of taking a case to trial. Well, I can speak from experience, having been on the defense side. We know that case isn't intended to be taken to trial, and so we know that we undervalue it as a defense lawyer. Well, what you want to do is find an attorney who is capable of taking a case to trial and can maximize the value of the case, because this is your injury. You get one shot at it, so you don't want to leave any money on the table, is what I would say.
Again, put the phone number in your phone, because you never know when something's going to happen. And we were talking right now about car accidents, but lots of different things. Boating, you said boat, but you can be on a bicycle, you can be on a chair in a restaurant, and something can happen.
Absolutely. Every single person in everyday life has a duty of care to others to act reasonably, and whether it's a dog that gets off the leash, somebody is using a product that is designed unsafely, medical practitioners who violate their standard of care. anything that results in an injury that someone had a duty and breached that duty is the kind of law that we take.
So real quick, we have less than a minute, so this is how we're going to end it. How does a quick case work? Would they call you? You have a conversation with them?
Yeah, we meet with them. We find out the facts of the case. We want to, obviously get all of the evidence at the outset. We start the investigation process right away. We try to find out what insurance is involved. We contact all of the parties. We take the burden off of the injured party and kind of step into their shoes and deal with the insurance companies or the other parties. And, how a case shakes out really depends upon the facts. But the ultimate goal from day one for my firm is that we try to prepare a case for trial.
And here's the thing, they do work on a contingency basis as well. They do free consultations. Put the phone number in your phone. The phone number is 480-550-1976. He works statewide, also in Colorado. A-rated with the Better Business Bureau. It's Atticus Law, PLLC.com.